In Florence, there was once a young prince who squandered his treasury on banquets, luxuries, and flattery. When enemies marched against his city, his soldiers abandoned him. His allies betrayed him, and he was dragged to the city gates, where his head was struck from his shoulders. Machiavelli, watching the downfall, recorded the brutal lesson. A ruler who cannot master himself will soon be destroyed. Now here's the truth. You are that prince, not with castles or crowns, but with your money, your time, your discipline. And just like him, if you waste your resources, if you live for comfort, if you fail to build power, you will lose everything, not by sword, but by debt, by dependence, by weakness. Most people never understand this. Money is not paper, not numbers, not security. It is a weapon. And like any weapon, it either defends you or destroys you, depending on how you wield it. Billions of people work themselves to exhaustion, but remain broke. They think effort is enough. Machiavelli would laugh. Effort without calculation is suicide. You don't win wars by swinging harder, you win by striking smarter. Do you know why the same small elite control most of the world's wealth? Do you believe it's luck? Do you believe they simply worked harder? No, it's because they understand the rules of a game you were never taught. The system was designed long before you were born. Schools teach obedience. Jobs teach dependence. Society teaches patience. And all of it keeps you chained while those above you feed. Poverty is not an accident. It is engineered, and the engine runs on your ignorance. The broke think money is for survival. The wealthy know money is for conquest. The broke wait for permission. The wealthy seize opportunity without asking. The broke drown in comfort. The wealthy embrace sacrifice like a blade. You want proof? 2 men earn the same salary. One spends it on consumption, the other invests. 10 years later, one is buried in debt, the other is free. The difference is not effort, it's perception. Machiavelli warned, men are driven by 2 principal impulses, either by love or by fear. When it comes to money, the broke are driven by fear, the wealthy by strategy. Imagine your life as a kingdom. Every dollar you own is a soldier. Every choice you make is a command. When you waste money on luxuries, it's like sending soldiers to die in drunken feasts. When crisis strikes, you'll have no army left. But when you invest, when you delay gratification, when you direct soldiers with precision, your army multiplies, your fortress grows, and your enemies hesitate to strike. Now ask yourself, do you command your soldiers, or do you slaughter them with comfort? If you lost your job tomorrow, how many months could you survive without begging? Write your answer in the comments. Most people will realize they're already defeated before the battle even begins. Here's the first ruthless law. Wealth begins in the mind, not the wallet. If you see money as food, you will consume it until nothing remains. If you see money as a weapon, you will sharpen it, multiply it, and conquer with it. But the next trap is even darker. Most people not only waste their soldiers, they chain themselves willingly, waiting for permission from masters who will never set them free. And that is where we go next. In Renaissance Italy, there was a duke who begged the Pope for protection instead of raising his own army. When war broke out, the Pope withdrew his promise. The duke was captured, and his lands were carved up by rivals. Machiavelli noted the fatal flaw. He who relies on another man's arms is doomed. This is the same flaw that keeps millions broke today, not because they lack opportunity, but because they wait for permission. Look around. Most people live as prisoners in cages they built themselves. They wait for a boss to approve a raise. They wait for the government to fix the economy. They wait for luck to choose them. And while they wait, others seize. The throne doesn't remain empty. It's claimed by the bold. Machiavelli despised hesitation. He believed that fortune respects aggression, not patience. A ruler who waits for kindness, he wrote, is already defeated. So ask yourself, where in your life are you waiting instead of seizing? Picture 2 men in the same dead-end job. The first works faithfully for years, hoping the manager will one day recognize his dedication. He gets scraps, then he's replaced. The second man learns skills, builds a side hustle, and sells his expertise outside the company. He doesn't ask, he creates. Within 2 years, he earns more than his salary. Within 5, he doesn't need a boss at all. One begged, one built. Guess which one Machiavelli would call a prince? Society has lied to you. They tell you dependence is safety. Get a secure job. Be grateful. Wait your turn. But Machiavelli tore this illusion apart. Dependence is slavery in disguise. A ruler who relies on another man's army is betrayed. A worker who relies on a single paycheck is discarded. And make no mistake, your boss is not your savior. Your company is not your protector. Your government is not your shield. The only shield is the power you forge for yourself. The CEO who strikes first. Jeff Bezos didn't wait for the retail industry to give him space. He bulldozed bookstores, seized markets, and rewrote the rules. The politician who hesitates. Thousands of politicians wait for the perfect timing to run for office, only to watch bold rivals steal the spotlight. Hesitation buries them. The lottery loser. A man wins millions but waits for advisors to tell him what to do. Within 5 years, he's broke, because fortune respects boldness, not dependence. History and modern life agree. The man who waits becomes prey. The man who seizes becomes ruler. Machiavelli compared fortune to a woman. To control her, you must strike boldly. He did not mean recklessness. He meant decisive courage. The timid entrepreneur plans forever, but never launches. The bold competitor acts first and dominates. The silent worker waits for recognition. The ruthless worker demands it or builds it elsewhere. And fortune, true to Machiavelli's law, bends toward the bold. If your income disappeared tonight, what would you do tomorrow? Would you wait for rescue or seize control? Comment your honest answer below, because your response will reveal whether you are already enslaved or still capable of rising. The truth is brutal. The man who waits dies poor. The man who seizes lives free. Permission is a cage. Every day you wait, you tighten the chains. And the tragedy, no one is coming to unlock them. Machiavelli taught that fortune doesn't reward the patient, it rewards the aggressive. To wait for someone to choose you is to choose slavery yourself. So let me put this to you bluntly. Stop begging. Stop waiting. Stop hoping someone will hand you power. Every time you ask, you surrender control. Every time you hesitate, someone else strikes first. And yet, even boldness is not enough, because the next poison is comfort. The very pleasures you cling to are the knives carving your future apart. In the next part, we will expose why comfort is a weapon of your enemy, how sacrifice builds empires, and how those who refuse pain are already conquered. In Renaissance Italy, a duke once poured his entire treasury into parades, mistresses, and golden palaces. The people adored him for a season. But when war came, his soldiers had no food, his walls no strength, his allies no loyalty. Within a week, he lost his throne. Within a month, he lost his head. Machiavelli wrote with disdain, "The prince who cannot deny himself will not long keep his state." And this is not just history. It is your life, every time you choose comfort over sacrifice. The poor man worships comfort, new gadgets, parties, endless entertainment. He thinks pleasure is harmless. But each indulgence kills a soldier in his army of wealth. Visualize your money as soldiers. Every coffee, every streaming subscription, every impulse buy. It is like executing one soldier on the battlefield. And when crisis comes, you'll have no army left to defend you. The rich, however, wield sacrifice like a sword. They give up what is pleasant now to fortify what is powerful later. They understand Machiavelli's lesson. Pain today builds empires tomorrow. Sacrifice is not deprivation. Sacrifice is strategy. Picture Julius Caesar standing at the Rubicon. Behind him was safety. Ahead of him was treason, exile, and war. He sacrificed comfort, but he gained Rome. You too must choose. Cling to comfort and lose the war, or sacrifice early and conquer later. Ask yourself, what have you given up for your future? If the answer is nothing, then you've already been conquered. Here is the next brutal truth. Hard work is a trap. The poor glorify labor. They believe sweat buys freedom. Machiavelli would laugh. A prince does not swing the sword himself. He commands armies. Visualize this. A soldier fights one battle at a time. A general wins 10 battles at once. That is leverage. A construction worker bleeds for 12 hours but remains poor. An entrepreneur builds a system that earns while he sleeps. The first is a soldier. The second is a general. If you cling to labor, you die as a pawn. If you seize leverage, you rise as a ruler. But even leverage will fail you if you believe in fairness. And here is the most painful law. The game is rigged. The system is not neutral. Laws, taxes, networks. These are weapons of the elite. The rich exploit loopholes with armies of lawyers. The poor cry for fairness and get chains. Visualize a chessboard. Pawns march straight and die first. Queens bend the rules, moving in every direction. Who wins? The pawn who follows fairness, or the queen who bends the law? Machiavelli warned, men should either be treated generously or destroyed, because they take revenge for slight injuries. For heavy ones, they cannot. The system does not grant justice. It grants domination. And there is one more weapon most ignore: perception. Two men earn the same income. One looks sloppy, desperate, weak. The other sharpens his words, his presence, his image. Which one gets the promotion? Which one wins trust? Visualize yourself standing before a locked door. Do people see a leader worth trusting, or a beggar to be ignored? That is the difference perception makes. Machiavelli insisted, appearances are reality. And in money, as in politics, reputation is survival. Now picture this. A king seated on a golden throne, goblet in hand. Outside, his walls crack. His soldiers starve. His enemies burn the countryside. He laughs, drunk on wine, oblivious to ruin. That king is you. Every time you binge on comfort, every time you cling to labor, every time you cry for fairness while your defenses rot. Comfort doesn't whisper. Comfort strangles. And when the wolves break through your gates, they will not pity you. They will feast. This is the truth most can't bear. Your comforts are the knives carving your future apart. So cut them away. Comfort is poison. Labor is a trap. Fairness is a lie. Reputation is survival. But even if you embrace these laws, a greater danger remains. Because wealth without protection is just blood in the water, and the sharks are already circling. In the next part, we'll expose why discipline builds fortresses, why power shields wealth, and why the man without defenses is already dead. Machiavelli once watched a commander lose his army without a fight. Not to swords, but to wine and women. The soldiers abandoned discipline, and when battle came, the city was slaughtered. He wrote the lesson coldly. He who is not master of himself cannot be master of others. If you cannot control yourself, you cannot control your money. And if you cannot control your money, you cannot control your life. The masses love shortcuts, lottery tickets, crypto pumps, miracle schemes. They crave excitement, not endurance. But Rome wasn't built on shortcuts. It was built on discipline. Boring, relentless, unglamorous discipline. The poor chase thrills. The rich endure repetition. And repetition builds dynasties. Discipline is the invisible wall around your wealth. Visualize this. Every impulsive purchase is a crack in your wall. Every lazy habit is a gate left open. Every act of discipline, saving, investing, working while others sleep, is a stone placed in your fortress. Without discipline, you invite invasion. With it, you create a fortress that no enemy can breach. But discipline alone is not enough, because wealth without power is prey. History is full of kings who had gold but no shields, and so they lost everything. Modern life is the same. Lottery winners gain millions, but without power they are drained by wolves sharper than them. Their money is bait, Machiavelli would say. The prince who builds wealth but no defenses prepares a banquet for his enemies. So, how do you build shields today? Not with stone, but with strategy. Legal walls, corporations, contracts, trusts, paper walls that guard wealth, alliances, mentors, investors, partners. Alone, you are fragile. Together, you are formidable. Influence, perception of power deters attack. Fear is cheaper than war. Knowledge, the illiterate ruler is dead. The financially ignorant man is prey. Visualize a castle on a hill. Its walls are contracts. Its moat is alliances. Its guards are influence. Its towers are knowledge. That is a modern fortress. But beware, Machiavelli despised rulers who locked themselves inside walls and cowered. Fortresses are not hiding places. They are launch pads. Defend your wealth, yes. But strike when needed. Patrol your rows. Watch for betrayal. Because the moment you relax, wolves gather. Cesare Borgia, the man Machiavelli admired, embodied this law. He spent not on vanity, but on loyalty, fear, and elimination of rivals. He knew that wealth must be shielded, and discipline must be paired with power. Modern rulers follow the same path. Billionaires use corporations, lawyers, and influence. Their wealth is armored, and that is why it survives while others collapse. If tomorrow someone tried to take everything from you, your job, your savings, your home, what defenses would you have? Contracts, allies, knowledge, or nothing? Comment your answer below because most people will realize their kingdom is already naked. So learn this. Money without discipline is sand. Money without power is blood in the water. But even if you master yourself, even if you build fortresses, one final enemy waits: the envy, betrayal, and sabotage of other people. And that is where we go next. The psychology of envy, the art of silence, and Machiavelli's deadliest law. Control yourself before you control the world. In Florence, a wealthy merchant once flaunted his riches, banquets, jewels, golden halls. He thought his success made him untouchable. Within months, rivals accused him, allies betrayed him, mobs stormed his house. His gold could not save him. He died screaming in the same streets he once ruled. Machiavelli recorded lessons from such downfalls with icy precision. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. And here lies the final truth. When you rise, your greatest threat will not be poverty. It will be people. Envy is a shadow that follows every step upward. Your success will not only inspire, it will expose. Friends will smile but grit their teeth. Family will whisper. Rivals will sharpen their knives. Why? Because your rise reminds them of their failure. Your discipline condemns their laziness. Your boldness humiliates their hesitation. They would rather see you destroyed than admit their weakness. Visualize a banquet table. On it sits your wealth, your influence, your victories. Around it sit smiling guests, every one of them holding a dagger beneath the tablecloth. That is envy. So, what is the Machiavellian defense? Silence. The wise prince hides his intentions until the time is right. The loud man flaunts his victories and draws enemies. The silent man builds in shadows, and when he strikes, it is too late for rivals to stop him. Think of the lottery winner who announces his fortune. He is hunted until nothing remains. Now think of the quiet entrepreneur who builds in the dark. When he finally emerges, his wealth seems sudden, unstoppable. Mystery is a shield, silence is a weapon, but survival is not enough. If you want to rule, you must think beyond your lifetime. The poor think in days, the middle class in years, the elite in decades or centuries. Machiavelli advised rulers to plan dynasties. You must do the same. Visualize planting an oak tree. You will not sit under its shade, but your children will. That is how wealth endures, through businesses, land, intellectual property, systems that outlast you. The man who thinks only of today will always be enslaved by it.
The man who thinks in centuries builds legacies that cannot be erased. And now we reach the deadliest law of all. A ruler who cannot control himself will soon be destroyed. History is filled with rulers who conquered nations but fell to themselves. Kings consumed by lust. Generals devoured by pride. Billionaires ruined by greed. They defeated every external enemy but lost the war within. Visualize two thrones. On one sits a king, armored, disciplined, vigilant. On the other sits a king slouched, drunk, distracted. The first rules for decades. The second is assassinated in weeks. Which throne will you choose? Because here is the brutal truth. If you cannot master your impulses, your enemies don't need to attack. You will destroy yourself, and they will collect the ruins. So I'll ask you, what weakness inside you is your greatest enemy? Comment it below, because until you expose it, you cannot conquer it. Now, let us strip away illusions and speak plainly. Treat money as comfort, and you stay a slave. Wait for permission, and you stay invisible. Refuse sacrifice, and you stay weak. Worship labor, and you stay trapped. Neglect perception, and you stay ignored. Demand fairness, and you stay blind. Depend on one source, and you stay fragile. Consume endlessly, and you stay broke. Resist discipline, and you stay powerless. Build wealth without power, and you stay prey. Ignore these, and your fate is sealed. Obey them, and you rule. So here is your choice: applause or fortresses, comfort or conquest, to die loved but powerless, or to live feared and respected. This channel, Ruthless Psychology, is not for those who want comfort. It is for those who dare to see the world as it is, merciless, brutal, but conquerable for those ruthless enough to play. Machiavelli's most infamous law still stands. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Weak men cling to love. Strong men command fear. The strongest command both. So here is your call. Stop begging. Stop waiting. Stop flaunting. Build in silence. Master yourself. Fortify your kingdom, and let the world wonder how you rose while they remained in chains. Now, subscribe to Ruthless Psychology. Join a community that studies the hidden laws of power. Comment below which law hit you hardest. Because the game of power begins the moment you stop watching. Only the ruthless will win.